We're going to continue with our study of Mareh Yaakov. As we've made a habit every week, we try to go over Parshat Shiur, what we just read, and see if we can take the lessons that we've learned from our study and apply them to something that the good doctor never managed to record. We just read Parshat Vahalotcha, and in the middle of Vahalotcha we have the story of the people complaining that the food was inadequate, that there was no meat for them in particular. And the Zohar asked an interesting question. It asked the question, if the people wanted to eat something different, if they wanted to eat meat, why is this something that Moshe is so willing to say, Hargeni na harog, kill me, because the people want to eat meat? Why is he making such a big deal out of this thing? Okay, they're complaining, they're rejecting something that God has given them. What's the big issue about asking for something different to eat, to the point that Moshe wants himself completely taken out of the picture? Zohar answers the question that by saying, in the name of Rav Yossi, it says that the manna was given in Moshe's name, and Moshe celebrated this level. What's manna? What's man? Man is a version of the word ma, what. And when we say something is what, it means it's undefined. It's something that is beyond giving it a definition, because if you give it a definition, you limit it to that, and therefore it can only be that. But by saying what is it, it's not poetic. It's not that, you know, Marabu Masach Hashem. Oh, how great are your deeds, God. It's not the Shakespearean poetic, oh, how great are. They are so great that we can't define them, because defining them would limit their scope. So man, or derivation of ma, is a very high and lofty something. It is something that has a taste of the infinite. It can be multiple things. And that's why when you tasted it, your imagination was the only limit to what it could be. And while we're on the word ma, 45, mem, 40, and 5a, the other words that have that same gematria, that same math, are me'od, mem, aleph, daled, a large amount of, again, something that defies giving it a quantity, and adam, man. Because if you define a man as a single thing, you're not saying that he has a potential to do something more. Adam has the infinite potential because he has bechira chopshit, he has free choice, so he can become anything. He has an element of infinity about him. When we go from the level of man to the level of basar, to the level of something that is earthly, all of a sudden we've gone down a complete step in what the people are going to be taking into themselves. It is now something that is limited, something that is definable, and therefore Moshe is worried that his teaching is what has brought the people down to say we're now on a lower level. So Moshe is now focusing the entire conversation, the entire fault, on himself. So when we have the phrase "V'imkacha atos eli," and if this is what you are going to be doing to me, that Moses says to God, the main focus, the person who's standing alone, the person who is at the center of this and all the fault of this, is Moshe. So if we're going to focus on him and he's going to be the one standing alone, he's going to get a revi'i. That's the note that says that this word can stand alone. But we have a difficulty here. We have God's name defined in this sentence, not as ata, not as the male you, but as the female at. And this is one of those rare circumstances where God's name gets the female. And I believe we've had the conversation before on the tape. What's the Kabbalistic view of of pure male and pure female? And the idea of male is something that gives almost a huge number of potential sparks, but doesn't quite have the energy to keep any of those as the one thing that is going to be maintained. So lots of little bits of potential, and that's why God is usually defined as the male, because he gives us lots of things that we can do something with in the world. The sense of female is taking one of those things, nurturing it, and allowing it to grow, allowing it to continue, allowing it to be the reality that exists after that point. So God is usually viewed as male. People of Israel are usually viewed as female in that sense. And we take what we are given and we decide those things that we are going to allow to have a reality. So in this situation, Moshe is saying that from here on in, you're going to give me a reality in which there is a flaw that I have introduced into the system. So the world is going to be different from now than what it was before, and it's going to go on with the flaw that I introduced in it. So it's going to be different from what it was before, and it's going to go on from there. So
this is God saying?
So this is what Moshe is saying. Moshe is saying, if this is what you're going to do to me, if you're going to put me into reality where I've now introduced this flaw, and it's different from what it was before, and this is how we're going on, then I'm going to be standing alone, and I'm going to be the one who suffers all the consequences of this. We want to realize that the circumstance that is being introduced here is, again, something different from the reality that was before, and it is going to stand on its own as a defining event. So it is going to be different from what it said before. The world is going to continue that way, but the event is going to stop and stand by itself as a sign that this is the way that things are going to be from here on in. So we have another munach with a psik, with a pause defined afterwards to make that phrase stand by itself. So when we work it backwards that way, we can see how the definition of what we're told is Moses' major concern here is going to define how we would define this sentence here. And this goes along very well with Rabbi Yossi's comment in the Zohar.
Sure.
So now we're going to continue with Parshat Noach. We'll pause the tape for a moment.